Our topic in sermon this morning is about the spy who loved me. We are entering into a thriller this morning. It's a thriller wherein we are always kept at the edge of our seat. You know that? When you watch a movie and you don't know what to expect, that is still going to be something that you are always anticipating. And we are going to talk about the spy who loved me. As we talk about Joshua sending the spy and finding their place in the house of harlot, which is called Rahab. To give us the point is, if a common harlot of Canaan could become an uncommon saint of faith and courage and receive the privilege of motherhood in the line of Jesus Christ, then surely nothing is impossible with God.
Amen.
He can even make the stone to praise Him.
Amen.
Rahab's amazing story is a lesson for all of us this morning. Her example demonstrates living faith on a forgiving and merciful God. So as the opening scene, we see the situation we can place in. It is the mission that was already declared 40 years ago. That God promised this land to these people of Israelites while they were still in bondage. God has prophetically declared it unto them. Now 40 years after, wandering in the wilderness, after all the drama, the rebellion, the hard-headedness, the arrogance, and all of those things that occurred, when they were already caught up into the presence of the very purpose of God, they are now entering the promised land. But the sad thing is, Moses is dead. The man who is the leader, the man who talks with God, the man who divided the Red Sea, the man who made the bitter water to taste good, the miracle worker, the very man of God is dead. And left the responsibility to a young rookie named Joshua. And as we have read last week, they were given the task and mission to enter Promised Land with a 1 million young group of people whose age never reached 25. They were all born in the wilderness. They don't know hardship. They were all taken care of through different lifestyle that they experienced. And so with that, Joshua said, we are going to enter Promised Land. In 3 days, they are going to cross Jordan River. And so he secretly sent a spy. Before, during Moses' time, 40 years ago, the same story is like deja vu. Here we are again, sending the number of spies. During the first time, there were 12, one for each tribe. And they came out negatively, so lessons learned. Joshua said, no, only 2 this time. Joshua chapter 2, in verse 1. Now Joshua, the son of Nun, sent out 2 men from Acacia Grove to spy secretly, saying, go view the land, especially Jericho. So they went and came to the house of a harlot named Rahab. Rahab. She is our heroine this morning. She's the star of this event. And everything hangs on her. She is the harlot that turned heroine. As a starter, I would like to enlighten you that God can use anybody or anything to fulfill His promise. Before we start judging Rahab, I want you to realize that and put it in your head that God can use anything or anybody to fulfill His promise. She's a woman of faith. Really? Pastor, she's a prostitute. So? You know the amazing thing about Rahab? See this? Hebrews 11. We're now in the New Testament. Why? What did she do? She hid and protected her enemies. Going back to Joshua chapter 2. Verse 4, he said, then the woman took the two men and hid them. Verse 9, what did she do? I know that the Lord has given you the land. The terror of you has fallen on us, and that all the inhabitants of the land are faint-hearted because of you. She heard of God's mighty act to Joshua. Just for saving two spies and giving them information about the situation and the condition of the land. It's not that. It's because she believed. Amen. That's why, brothers and sisters, this morning, your belief is important with God. It's not what you are, it's not what you do, it's not what you are capable of doing. It's the amount of your belief in Him. Amen. Do you really believe in Him? Amen. And in your belief, God considers that as your righteousness, and He grants and rewards it because of your faith in Him. Hallelujah. Rahab was a woman of faith. Even though there was no gospel yet. Even though he was never an Israelite or Jew. But he develops that. That's why there is no boundary to the powers of what God can do to those who will believe. Amen? And then lastly, Rahab was a kind woman. No, she's a kind woman. Joshua chapter 2, verse 13. And he said to the two spies, now therefore, I beg you, verse 12, swear to me by the Lord, since I have shown you kindness, that you also will show kindness to my father's house, and give me a true token, and spare my father, my mother, my brothers, my sisters, and all that they have, and deliver our lives from death. Isn't that amazing? But when the time comes of sure destruction, she remembered her mom, her dad, her brothers and sisters, and all, maybe all, he said, all that they have. Please, all that is inside her house will be considered safe. And then, when the spies were done with their thing in what they're doing, in verse 15, he's saying, Joshua chapter 2, then she let them down by a rope through the window, for her house was on the city wall. She dwelt on the wall, and she said to them, get to the mountains, lest thy pursuers meet you. Hide there for 3 days, until the pursuers have returned. Afterward, you may go your way. She did not only hid them, she did not only give them the information that they need, she helped them escape. Rahab was a kind woman. She did not forget her family. She was not thinking, oh, well, at least you disown me. I don't belong to you. You don't deserve to be. No, what did she do? We will learn when the Israelites came to bring down Jericho, all her family went inside their house. And look at what Joshua said. in verse 19. And whosoever outside the door in your house into the street, his blood shall be on his own head, and we will be guiltless. But whoever is with you in the house, his blood shall be on our head, if a hand is laid on him. And if you tell this business to other people, the only thing that will remove the covenant is if Rahab will spill out the secret. So, many people would not risk their lives for family or friends. Yet Rahab, the prostitute, risked her life to protect the enemy. How about us? Can we? That is the question. Are we able to give everything for the sake of the promise of God in our life? If God can choose hell, well, we're all qualified then. Amen? We're all qualified. And that is because of the love of God. And because of the spy who loved me.